Hey, it's Sean from the Commander's Brew. This deck started with the name, the Monsters of Rock. Two things that exist in Magic, so I wanted to see if I can make a deck using a name. How does that journey look? So without further ado, let's... Okay. Just want to step in and make a quick little change here, and I should remind you that I have controlling interests of the show because I represent Darksteel Industries, who also owns the show. Is it a big change? Oh, no, not a big change at all. I just want... Well, okay, I want my entrances to be a little bit more flashy. Flashy? Yeah, did you ever watch something called wrestling? Yes, it's very popular on this plane where I'm from. Okay, I agree. It's great. I saw someone called The Undertaker, and they have a fantastic introduction. I want something like that. Okay, like now? No. Maybe at the end. Fine. Okay, see ya. Okay, the Monsters of Rock. How do you brew a deck if you start with a cool name? I think it's a cool name. Obviously, the first contender is that alternate art Thraxamundar. That's just a super rock and roll secret lair kind of thing. He's also kind of a monster, so I think it could work. But if you're talking about a deck about rock, you gotta go Tago. This guy makes rocks. And since we got partner, I think, well, I'll get to it in a second, but I ended up wanting Grixis colors, so let's just say Silas Wren is the partner that has to go with this. It's true. That's the only way to get Grixis if you start with Toggo. You have to go Silas Wren. We need more partners. And Thrax will be in the deck somewhere, rest assured. I know I'm giving up green, and there's a couple of green creatures that like play instruments and make verse counters, but they don't seem very rock and roll to me. They're more like loots. So we've got our starting point, Toggo and Silas Wren. We're going to need a few cards for Toggo and a few cards for Silas Wren. Silas Wren wants to do damage, combat damage, so Whirler Rogue is pretty good for that. Plus we make a couple of Thopter tokens that also get in pretty nicely. Cranial Plating takes advantage of all those artifacts, the rocks included. And the beauty of this card is that we can equip it at instant speed using that black ability. Maybe on one of those Thopters, or something that can't be blocked anyway, we'll just equip it for one. Tons of damage. And if we're going to be able to get artifacts back from the graveyard and kind of keep looping them with Silas Wren, Conjurer's Bauble might be the cheapest one that can do that. It sacks itself for free and it only costs one, and you draw a card. It's kind of like a cycling thing, sort of a stopgap if you got nothing else going on. Doesn't really do anything otherwise. And some great Toggo cards would include Scare Tiller. I'm probably going to include a little bit of equipment here so I can tap this thing so I can put extra lands onto the battlefield. That's a great way to get extra rocks. Then once we have a few artifacts, Shimmer Dragon comes in and lets us tap a couple of rocks to draw cards. That's nice. And Gearper Ether Grid turns all those rocks into doing damage. I like a Toggo brew. We did an episode on Toggo a while back where the rocks were evolved into superior artifacts. It uses a few of these cards. Check it out. And we're going to have plenty of artifacts lying around on the battlefield, so let's make some of our spells a bit cheaper. Inspiring Statuary is a great way to do that in a deck that can make artifact tokens. It doesn't work on colorless cards itself, but if we're making a bunch of token artifacts, they all act as ramp for us. That's the improvised thing. And Saheeli the Gifted is kind of the same thing. Use that other -1 ability to cast spells for a whole bunch of mana less. These two cards combined make it so we can probably cast some massive X spells. And this one kind of sounds rock and roll. Drown in Dreams. Sounds like that could be the name of a rock song. It's like a superior Blue Sun Zenith because we do get to pick a player to draw cards, but now we also get to have a player mill twice X cards. And anything that says if you control a commander is pretty good if you got partners because we got double the chances of having one on the battlefield, sort of. It's not really how probability works, but you get what I mean. I think War of Invention is an auto include as well. With all those rocks and things, we can cast this for X equals a lot without actually spending a lot of mana, and I might want to grab my Inspiring Statuary. So far, we have our Lennon and McCartney, but who's going to join the band? Now, can I change that? I don't want to be like the Beatles. The Beatles are a rock band. They did have that Rock Band Beatles edition video game. I don't think they like rock the same way. Sorry, Beatles fans. In any case, who's joining the band? Vile Smasher the Fierce. He's chaos. He's rock and roll. He's probably more punk than rock, but I really like this card, and I like him so much that I want more than one of him. Mirror Box allows us to get extra copies of legendary creatures. That's how I'm going to get extra Vile Smashers. With Mirror Box out, I can clone him with any clone card. Even without Mirror Box, I can use a Spark Double to make a copy. It's non-legendary. Then I can copy those copies, which are already non-legendary. And Irenicus's Vile Duplication is a brand new card that they gave us that does this with a sorcery. I like the sound of a few Vile Smashers. With cheapening of spells, we might be able to cast an X spell where X equals like 15 and just do tons of damage multiple times with multiple Vile Smashers. But there's another way to copy a legendary creature. That's if it's not legendary anymore. If we mutate onto it with something like Lore Dracus, which is great because the mutate cost is only 2 and it returns an instant or sorcery from the graveyard, so I'm thinking one of those copy or clone spells. Irenicus's Vile Duplication is a great one to cast and then get back with this. Another cheap way to mutate is Sea Dasher Octopus. It also has flash and it lets us draw extra cards in case we want to get into combat. And Porcuparrot is the next cheapest way to mutate. I tried to find things that mutated for pretty cheap. I'm not interested in spending 6 mana to mutate just to clone it the following turn. I want to be able to do everything at once if possible. And maybe Vile Smasher isn't the most exciting thing to turn into a pinger to do X damage to any target, but he is if we've got our next band member joining us, Torbran, Thane of Redfell. All of our red sources do 2 more damage. Whatever that Porcuparrot got mutated onto, now that thing flings lightning bolts around. And maybe I put Porcuparrot on Torbran, and now maybe I clone Torbran a few times. The non-legendary version. We gotta get some pingers. Cunning Spark Mage, classic pinger. Mayhem Devil also pings nicely whenever anyone sacrifices something. Both of these cards are red, so if we have one Torbran, that's 3 damage everywhere. But if we're able to copy a non-legendary Torbran, what is this, 5, 7 damage going around every time that happens? If we've got a Torbran out, Chandra Fire of Kaladesh will do that 3 damage off the first ping and transform. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what happens if we mutate onto Chandra and then Chandra tries to transform. Do all the cards come back? Think they do, but they won't be mutated. Follow up, what happens if we clone Chandra with an Irenicus Vile Duplication and then mutate onto it, and then that one tries to transform? What happens to the clone? Does it even try? I don't know. Math is for blockers, and weird rules cases are for judges. Silas Wren is a human, so we can't mutate onto him, and it's starting to look like these new band members are a little bit cooler than Silas Wren, but I need the blue in here because I want all those clone effects and the massive draw spells. Hey, me again, Darksteel Eric, just reminding you to like and subscribe. It really helps out Darksteel Industries. And now, 2 ads, 1 fake, 1 real. Do you like websites? Do you want to start a business or a website? Sign up for Relic Space, a Darksteel Industries website company. Our powerful templates include graphics, online deliverables, and a direct contact to our support team who will have full access to your house for the best help possible. Sign up with coupon code DARKSTEEL for our 100 free months for the first 100 months. No cancellations allowed. And now the real ad from the Wizards Tower, wizardtower.com. They've got a great content site for all sorts of deck tech, strategy guides, and more. But it's even better if you're a Canadian viewer. You can use coupon code BREWDOUBLE to get 5% off your Magic singles if you order $20 or more. Now that's a great deal. Back to the show. I mentioned earlier that we're running 2 commanders, so that's good for things that care about your commander, and that happens to be backgrounds. So let's take a look at the backgrounds and see if they have anything to offer the deck. Street Urchin as a background seems pretty cool. I like it because it's one of the few backgrounds where the commander doesn't have to do anything. I mean, the commander has to be on the battlefield, but we don't have to attack with it or tap it or anything. Just pay some mana, sack an artifact, maybe some rocks, maybe some extra treasure lying around, doing a bunch of damage. If we got Torbran, that's incredible. Mayhem Devil makes this even better. And I'm also really interested in Passionate Archaeologist. We're running red. I don't mind casting stuff from exile. We get to run stuff like Commune with Lava. Again, we're able to get our X in X spells up really, really high. That's great for Vile Smasher, and that's great for all that improvising we're going to be doing. And we get to do all of this stuff from exile, so that just means tons of Passionate Archaeologist triggers. Heck, I'm even happy to run You Find Some Prisoners. Being able to destroy an artifact, always useful, but I'll take 3 of their cards off of the top of your deck, and the best one out of those 3. Even Poison the Cup is kind of a classic piece of removal, does what it says on the tin, but you can cast it from exile if you foretold it. Casting spells from exile. We got to get Prosper in the band. Prosper Tomebound, exiling cards on our turn. Whenever we play a card from exile, making a treasure token, more artifacts, more things to sacrifice. Prosper's not a human. I don't mind cloning this Tiefling Warlock. Multiple Prospers, also very cool. Playing cards from exile, getting multiple treasure tokens. Here's a little combo. Reckless Fireweaver plus Academy Manufactor. Whenever we're making treasures, now we're also making clues. Now we're also making food. Reckless Fireweaver will have 3 triggers doing 1. I worded it that way because if Torbrand's out, that's 3 triggers doing 3. And if we got multiple Torbrands, that's so much damage for just making 1 treasure by playing 1 thing from exile with Prosper out. Ugh. Nashi Moonsage is another useful card to have in the deck that lets us cast things from exile if that matters. Plus our little Thopters or things we've made unblockable we can put back into our hand. Brea's Apprentice gives us something else to do with those rocks or our treasures or whatever, and also play more things from exile. Heck, Murderous Rider, another piece of removal that likes to be in exile and then come back into play. So we got a little 4-piece band. Is it 4 pieces? Yes, a 4-piece band, I think. Vial Smasher, Torbran. No, it's 5. I forgot about Silas Wren. Sorry. I tell you, Silas Wren, the day they make a Demir commander with partner, you're probably out. And we're not done. If this band's going on tour, we got to get guest artists. These are other legendaries that I'm happy to copy, make non-legendary, and have multiple copies of. Florian Voldaren Scion, multiple Florians plus a Vial Smasher flinging damage everywhere. The amount of cards you get to look through and pick from, you can just set yourself up for a win in a couple of combats. Thada Adel Acquisitor, aka Steal Your Sol Ring card. I might point out that you do get to cast those cards from exile if that's relevant right now. And Zagras, Thief of Heartbeats. We're not really a party deck, but we've got a bunch of pingers, and giving pingers Death Touch is amazing in case you forgot. And not to mention, he's the heartthrob of the band. Thief of Heartbeats? Oh, swoon. He's dreamy. Yo, who's your favorite monster or rock? Zagras. Yeah. After Zagras, though. Probably Vial Smasher. No one likes Silas Red. I'm sorry, Silas Red. I really am. You don't do a lot in the deck. You're mostly here for the colors. So there's the deck. I'm going to have a link for the cards that I talked about in the episode and a few other cards that I was considering for the deck. The Monsters of Rock will be on tour at stadiums and arenas near you. Please check their website and go to darktickets.com to find out when they'll be near you. All right, until next time, you keep being you. The world's a better place for it. See ya. Oh. Right.